Hyatt off the high moors of the north of England, one rage YouTuber is pushing himself to the limit. It had once again been another very long, tiring day of work, and I'm feeling the strain already, and I don't even need to see this. Like Mation, yeah, I'm not interested in the Eagles. Let's just get that out of the way first and foremost. Anyway, it's been a long day and I feel tired once again. And soon, in the span of about 2 hours, I will once again retire into the depths for a long night's well-deserved sleep. But for now, we've got a mission to complete. I don't quite know why I'm putting in that in a slightly over romantic tone here, but I don't know. I feel like I'm in the mood to be a little bit more ostentatious. I don't particularly think that's the right term here. It will come to me either. You know what? I've spent I've had another long day of work. I'm not exactly in the mood to start reciting some A-level literature terminology here. It's just not one of those nights. Then again, is a Wednesday night particularly any use of anything? Does it serve any purpose? Does it provide anything different that you couldn't get from any other day in the week? What a useless day Wednesdays really are. They're supposed to be the middle of the week, but the week doesn't begin on Sunday and so we're technically at the halfway point, but we're halfway through nothing apart from just another week. I don't know what on earth I'm talking about. If you've watched me for the longest time, then sometimes even I struggle to come up with any purpose whatsoever in the things I'm saying. The only thing I've managed really to do is that, in fact, you know what the worst thing about this, ladies and gentlemen, is? I've got two monitors here. I've got like nearly 6 terabytes worth of storage and RAM, and at maximum I can only use this computer for about 2, maybe 3 hours each day. But I spend about like an hour and a half doing all videos and this and that, and basically just sitting at this desk and reading. I try to like keep this off as much as I can because, you know, I don't have this thing running throughout the day because that's just a huge waste of power. But why can't I just take this thing to work with me and do my work at work using my own setup? It seems like BS because it probably is. Also, the only other reason I'm really sort of like stalling is because this really is it, ladies and gentlemen. We're not fully caught up yet. We've got parts, 43, 44, 45, and 46 to go until we're fully caught up. But again, a little bit of a disclaimer before we begin. With what Chris does in this video, I've talked about I made nearly a 2-hour long video talking about it. So I'm going to try and keep most things, like, if there is anything specifically that I've forgotten about or I did not bring up, I'm going to keep like pausing down to a minimum because even I feel like I just need to let things flow at its own pace. And also I'm too tired enough to like start going into Chestertonian raptures that I usually do. I like that word. I really do. So anyway, if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will be in the description down below. Let's do this. Part, is it numéro 83? I don't know why I'm quoting French there. It's like numéro 83, and let's just get started. Sorry for the very long opening. Or cold opening, as it might be.
What made him this way? What is the attraction? What keeps us fascinated? This is the story of Chris Chan. On November 29th, 2014, Members of the Quickie forums noticed that the most recent episode of the Sonic Boom TV show featured a scene in which Sonic the Hedgehog eats a burger that, to his disappointment, has pickles on it. Forum members debated whether or not this was a subtle reference to Christian and Sonichu's known hatred of pickles.
I said no pickles!
Chris himself later made a Facebook post regarding this moment, asking if it were truly a reference to him, with commenters saying that it was seemingly an intentional slight against his person. On November 30th, after being banned from his previous Keep Sonic original Facebook group, Chris founded another group for his cause.
That's actually pretty... That's definitely one thing I've definitely not talked about, but... Yeah, you would assume that somebody even as notorious as Chris, like the writing staff, would want to sort of like keep us far away from, because it's I would say it's a reference, but I would say it's like a slight dig at hindsight, in hindsight, for those who know about Chris. So I suppose I don't know. I don't think it's as bad as all that. I mean, there are plenty of people who don't like pickles. I like pickles. I'm not necessarily... although I like pickles, but I'm not that fond of them, if that makes sense. But that's besides the point. Fix Sonic's arms immediately, Sega, is definitely more relevant.
Called Fix Sonic's Arms Immediately, Sega! With its inception, he reposted many of the posts he had made in his previous group, and also added many new ones, which called for people to send to Sega constant complaints until they conceded and redesigned Sonic. He appointed Kenneth Engelhardt, the administrator of the previous...
I'll keep this. The idea of boycotting is to avoid something, Chris. This is the opposite of boycotting. You're drawing attention not to Sonic, but to yourself, and he doesn't even realize he's doing this.
Previous group who had kicked Christian out, and also the troll Kim Wilson, as administrators of the new Facebook group. Chris let his thoughts be known through several lengthy posts. Seriously, every day I still see either of those blue-armed fucked games on the store shelves, hear the cartoon is still on the CN, or no recall is taking place, the more pissed I feel. And you know, I have messaged those SOBs at Sega a number of times with no response since after seeing the cartoon trailer months ago during the E3 time. It makes me so angry and frustrated being continuously ignored and swept under the rug to the point where the action and growing from small threats to make the managers there listen up. Yeah, fuck them. And I never thought I would ever have anything against my favorite color before that trailer. But now I'm looking to slit their throats with my long fingernails to force the total recall of everything Sonic Boom to fix the mistake to happen sooner! Ugh. And I have no concern of how much money Sega loses. The recall of everything Sonic Boom and changing the arm color back must happen immediately and right now! Some members of his group objected to his threats of violence, but Christian defended his words, stating that his fingernails were literally long, and that many women also had long nails. On December 2nd, while Chris and William Elliott Waterman were discussing how he would enact his vengeance against Sega, William asked if Chris would prefer to be called by female pronouns, to which she replied that she would. William suggested that she could change her name to Christine, which she agreed to accept as her eventual new name. Upon searching the name Christine Chandler, a member of the Quickie forums uncovered a 2-week-old post on the free message board, Void.com, of Christine using that name to advertise herself as a willing sperm donor for lesbian couples, willing to help either with artificial or preferably natural insemination. Also on December 2nd, Chris wrote on Facebook that she and her mother Barbara would be moving back to their old house within the next few weeks, and so urged people who wanted to purchase her Sonichu medallions or drawing commissions to act quickly as the move would disrupt their production. On December 4th, Chris notified her fictitious gal pal, Renee, that she would be getting her taint piercing re-pierced, since the first piercing ended up, quote-unquote, migrating. The second attempt would be a gold barbell with jewelry on it. It was possibly around this time that Catherine and Chris began discussing their apparent breakup. Katie's side of the conversation was never revealed, but Chris insisted over text messages that they could still remain gal pals, and that she could satisfy her in bed with her near 7-inch long penis. And I do think I am entitled in a true, valid relationship with a woman very much like you, because...
Entitled. He says he's and I do think I am entitled. Should I be the one to explain to Chris why he's not entitled? Or do I? He is... I'm going to keep this short. Chris is about as entitled to a relationship as someone like I am is. It's not a question of whether or not you're entitled to or not. It's that you're willing to put in more effort and do everything in your power to make sure you do not come across as an eligible bachelor or bachelorette, as Chris would like to be referred to as. I do actually applaud Gino for now referring to Chris as Christine, even though I don't particularly refer to him as Christine because of my own opinions about what I thought about Chris's transition specifically. But the point is that it's not about just there being one woman and you feel as if like you're going to be given it no matter what. You've got to do so. Chris is. Have you guys? Have you ever heard of the phrase "procrastination is the thief of time"? I reckon, well, in about 20 or so years, when Chris looks back over his life, maybe 10 or maybe even 5 years, he's going to realize that he's more or less wasted, I would say at least 25 years of his life in playing with toys that he should have grown out of a very long time ago. And not moving on from things that are so inconvenient and minuscule in the grand scheme of things. It would be sadder too if Chris just straight up like I don't know how best to put it. It could be a thing from how extreme his autism is. But if he can move on from other things, then why can't he just move on from things that have like stayed around for that long? Why can't he just let those things go and move on? And
because I need the love. And not only that, but I am of royalty in the Western bloodline.
oh yeah,
Right now, I'm feeling tired.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, sorry, they summed it up for me because he's arrogant. That's why. Sexist, homophobic, racist. You know, things that are very, very, even in Virginia, very unattractive to women and men. I'm going to go on a limb here and say that men do not like bigots and other things besides. But I think that's you get what I'm going with this.
Tired, headachy, more depressed and sick of the blatant sarcasm and the ignorance you are showing along with your bitchy ass. And my mother is not fond of you right now either. She called you common in your not wanting to be in a relationship with me. Stew in all of that for a long while. She felt great depression over her announcement that they were not in a relationship anymore, feeling as if her heart was melting, like the Lego pieces that perished in her house fire. Chris later shared the news with Renee, who she continued to message, despite her having stopped replying since the end of October. On December 6th, Chris shared a post which wrote that the animated series, Sonic Boom, had been quite successful and would so be renewed for a second season, which angered her. Chris left a comment clarifying that her only criticism of the changes to the Sonic universe was Sonic's blue arms, suggesting that she watched the show. Chris then wrote a long post asking for her followers to engage in an organized protest against Sega, which included an aggressive message-sending campaign. She asked them to include a paragraph that stated the adverse reaction Chris had upon the sight of Sonic the Hedgehog's blue arms, referring to herself in the text with male pronouns. She then shared the response she got from Sega customer service after sending such a message. They wrote that they could not accept unsolicited suggestions from fans and encouraged her to pursue her creative efforts. The next day, she notified her followers that she would not be accepting any more offers for medallions or commissions until the new year, since the Chandlers would be in the middle of moving from their rental home back to their old house. On December 11th, Chris sent Renee a collection of photos of her strap-on without a dildo attached, and demonstrated how she wore it in order to conceal her penis. Renee had still yet to respond. A day later, Christine messaged her again, telling her that the patch of skin around the jewelry of her taint piercing was beginning to shrink again, so Chris ultimately decided to remove her piercing. 2 days later, she asked Renee if she would help Chris put together a modeling portfolio and make her feel more sex positive. Chris then let Renee know that she believed that trolls were hacking into their text messages and posting their communications on the Quickie forums, when in reality, it was the troll playing the part of Renee who was sharing their interactions, who went by the Quickie forums username Theoden. On December 15th, Chris wrote a cryptic Facebook post telling her followers not to ask her any questions or leave any comments since she felt crappy. The next day, she realized that she could also write her pleas to change Sonic's arm color on Nintendo's online social space, the Miiverse, and posted photos of her message as written on her Nintendo 3DS. She also shared on her Facebook profile that she received a postcard from a Ween with a message supporting Sonic the Hedgehog's blue arms. Chris was not amused by the troll attempt. On December 18th, Quickie Forums member Skyraider91, who had previously posted numerous photos of Chris's house after the fire and had uncovered old documentation from the Chandler's dumpster, leaked a video that Christian filmed in the aftermath of the family gift exchange of Christmas Day, 2004. The video was part of the director's cut of Chris's Yep, I'm on TV DVD, which was given to Catherine as a present.
I wish she was here so that I could talk to her and so she could help me in my quest to get a boyfriend-free 18, 20-year-old girl.
It was later revealed that Skyraider was in fact the same troll who had played the part of Katie's cousin Al, who had accompanied the two on their date. The following day, Chris posted on Facebook that she had downloaded the game Meme Run for the Nintendo Wii U, which capitalized on popular internet-based image macros and trending memes, believing that her trolls obsessed over them. She found the game to be sensory overloading and determined that all the trolls were seriously stressed, weird, offensive, mentally demented, and screwed up. On December 19th, Christine uploaded 43 images on her "Fix Sonic's arms immediately, Sega" Facebook page, depicting
I know I may have mentioned this before as well, but I'll never get tired of listening to Gino shout out Chris's lines when he's like punctuating stuff. That's just I'll never get tired of that. I think that's just funny.
Depicting the new Sonic the Hedgehog in various TV show stills and marketing photos, with his arms altered to be the original color. She pleaded for her followers to mass send the pictures to Sega and Cartoon Network to convince them to change the character's design. The next day, Chris wrote on Facebook that the family's Christmas would likely be only fair, as they were not ready to finish moving back to their old house before the holidays, so she suggested that people consult her wish list for possible presents or gift cards to send her, strongly suggesting that she desired the big Grand Emporium Lego set, and advised against people sending her gag gifts, such as lumps of coal or copies of the Sonic Boom game. On December 21st, Chris once
I wouldn't know. I think coal is a little bit more useful than the Sonic Boom game, but that's besides the point.
again posted a link to her mother's car, which was still up for sale for $10,000, and also listed Barbara's phone number for possible inquiries. In the comment section, Kim Wilson wrote that Barbara's car's fair market value was around $3,000 and doubted if anyone would choose to pay as much as she desired. Christine replied, stating that it was her mother's idea to price it at $10,000. During this time, Chris was still text messaging Catherine, trying to come to an understanding over their breakup. On Christmas Eve, Chris sent her a few finalizing texts. "I'll tell you another thing. While I can appreciate it from my mother and pets, but when I get a show of positive emotions or vibes from anyone else, nada and or a paint thud in my heart. And that is blamed on my autism, and when I am in the depressed and lonely boat like I am again now. But, whatever. Enjoy your Christmas with your parents and the stepmom and other family alive and close, and whoever you end up having for a boyfriend and sweetheart. And because everyone around here..."
You know, if it was up to, I'd rather never. You know, if I was Catherine and I went on a date with Chris, I'd probably never go near men ever again. But again, that's my preference if I had to be specific.
"Here locally either hates me and my mother, or overlooks or ignores us. We both are feeling depressed. At home, we have each other, but that's about it right there. An emotional, crappy Christmas. Peaceful day, but with everyone outside of our house not appreciating us much at all." On Christmas...
You haven't contributed anything worthwhile to society, Chris. You haven't. And before you even say Sonichu, well, think about what it brought, Chris. Think about what it's done. Think about where your reputation is right now. Think about how your life went since 2007.
Christmas Day, Chris messaged Renee, letting her know that she had bought figurines for the game Skylanders, and that she also had family time and some bonus cash to keep her spirits up. However, her pets were causing some trouble. She wished that she could wake up in the morning either with a sweetheart by her side, or having magically transformed her body from male to female.
Okay, now, considering that that was sort of like Christmas Day of December 25th, let me make something very, very clear, because I know very well what happens, because the incident happened on Boxing Day, the very next day after Christmas Day. So I'm going to literally pause this a little bit here so we can come back into it, because really the next 30 minutes is the real meat of what this entire part is about, I'd imagine. Well, we'll wait and see when the time comes. So I'll come back to you in a few seconds. So why is this thing not playing? There we go.
To the Fashion Square Mall. Described as a white male, 5'9", with long brown hair. So he's wearing 2 sets of glasses and fake breasts. His name is supposed to be Christopher Chandler.
On December 26th, Chris and her mother drove to Charlottesville's Fashion Square. While Barbara stayed by herself to have lunch, Chris entered the game retailer GameStop, from which she had been banned for vandalizing Sonic Boom displays. At the time, user of the site Tumblr, Monozettai, who knew of Chris Chan, was at the store at the same time and managed to record a short video and later wrote an account of what he experienced. I looked up and saw Chris surrounded by 3 to 4 employees in a corner. I recognized Chris's voice before their appearance. A woman was telling Chris that they had been banned from the store and needed to leave, to which Chris responded with something like, "Oh, come on! Can't we let bygones be bygones?" The employees ignored him and continued to tell him to leave and threatened to call security. Eventually, they dispersed to do so, which is about when I began filming. The short clip showed Christine on her way out of the store, and right before exiting, she pepper sprayed the shirt of the store's assistant manager, who was standing to the side of the door.
Don't call anybody. And that was the
Kristen went back to her car and drove back home. Police arrived at the scene about half an hour after the incident and managed to find her mother, Barbara, still eating lunch at the mall. Police officers took her home, promptly arrested Chris, and then brought her to be detained at Albemarle Regional Jail. 2 days later, an individual recorded his call to the jail, asking about the details of Chris's detainment.
Good afternoon. I want to verify some information about an inmate that you have. Oh my God, Chandler. Yeah, the name is Christian Weston Chandler. I'm not the first person who called you about this particular issue. No, you're the third person in a row. That's why I knew it was that, probably. Okay, I'm surprised. I want to confirm or deny if he is in jail right now because some incident that happened, I think, 2 days ago or something. Yeah, he's here. He is in jail. He's here and he'll have video court Monday morning. Okay, could you add more information? He's going to be charged, he's going to... Oh yeah, he got a charge for spraying gas. I think he sprayed pepper spray somebody. Yeah, that's the current information that we have. There's some video on YouTube where he sprays the GameStop employee with some paper spray or something like that. I hope the video is okay. Oh yeah, he's fine. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I appreciate all your cooperation.
Is it even legal to record phone calls to police officers? Well, I didn't know if is it though? Is it even legal to record phone calls when you're contacting police authorities, especially if it's about somebody very specific? I don't know, but considering, well, I would imagine the county estate of Virginia, they didn't like pull this video down, so I'm going to assume it's okay. That's interesting, I guess.
On December 29th, Christine was formally charged with a Class 6 felony, unlawful release of dangerous gas. She posted a $2,500 bail and was allowed to return home, with her next hearing scheduled for February 5th, 2015. Upon returning home, Chris wrote an exceptionally long Facebook post detailing her account of what transpired. Attention everyone! To preface what has happened recently, I simply remind everyone that Sonic the Hedgehog's arms are not freaking blue. If #Sega had never changed them, or reversed the change between February and November of this year in the new Sonic Boom video games and cartoon series on Cartoon Network, as well as the toys and whatever else, I would never have had to protest and rebel the way I have.
Yeah, there you go, Chris. Doing what he does again, shirking responsibility, blaming everyone else. That's not even funny anymore. That's not even funny in the context of what's happened. This is just... What happened if what if he hurt somebody when he sprayed somebody? What if that employee was like allergic to the spray? What if and there were kids in that store. What if they
including the creation of my group. Fix Sonic's arms immediately, Sega! Within my groups, I've led by example to push forward to the path of waking Sega up and forcing them to change Sonic's arm color back immediately. And to confess, I have done my part for real! I had
Oh, you've done it all right, Chris. You don't need to really convince anybody. I think anyone who's watching this right now can thoroughly see that you've done it all right.
personally gone into 3 of the 4 local GameStops, excluding the Fashion Square one, 3 times to personally protest in my silent way. First attack. I printed, as seen on the Facebook group, the fronts of the Sonic Boom game inserts, affixed double-sided tape onto the backs, and affixed them onto the fronts of their respective display game boxes on the shelves. Second attack. About a week later, I checked the success of my first attack, damaged a few original inserts pretty well to full removal, and of what were still there, I made attempts to transfer the inserts from the original cases into behind the inserts of different games. I've had to briefly explain my reasons and the protest, and told them that they should not be selling the Blue Arm Bandit games in the first place, and that they should send all of their remaining stock of Sonic Boom games and stuff back to Sega to make them change Sonic's arm color back immediately. They did nothing. And one last week later, the third and final attack, and the one and only time that the Fashion Square location had been involved as well. I made up and printed faux price tag decals with a short note to discourage purchase of the Blue Arm Bandit games and promote the protesting boycott. I also had hidden all of the Blue Armed Sonic toys at Toys R Us here, concealed hidden amongst the metal cupboards, so they all would not be sold, and best boycotted for the protest. They remained hidden for the longest time of over a month, found and reshelved near the 20th of December to my personal dismay and crestfall. And at Best Buy, all copies of their Sonic Boom games are still successfully concealed and hidden from view and purchase. Last Friday, the 26th, my mother and I were at the mall, getting pizza and spaghetti for lunch. She had informed me of a good mini refrigerator deal at Sears, so after eating, I made my way to check it out. On the way to Sears, I peeked into the GameStop and I spotted a new Skylander figure, Blastermind. I was set to buy it, and I was going to consider checking out their Wii U pre-owned software selection in their 3-for-2 deal. Innocent. I was not looking for trouble, but then this male loomed out in front of me, frightened the crap out of me.
Well, you already were in trouble, Chris, for going onto property where you had been banned, Chris. That's you're not supposed to go there if you've been banned.
And he said in a booming voice that only scared me worse, "You are banned from here! You need to leave now!" But still determined to continue my shopping, I veered into the Wii U direction when his female accomplice startled me and boomed in as well. Still feeling frightened and mentally overloaded, I made a grab for my pepper spray to use in defense. I offered a few peaceful solutions, but she ended up sending him to go get security. So I shouted, "Fine, I'm leaving," and I dropped the figure. and on my way out, I told the male not to get anyone, and we both stopped near simultaneous. I still felt my own worst from where, with the fear, startle, paranoia, and I did not want him following me and causing more trouble upon me. And then in my defense, and to make my...
In defense, even though he was just getting out of the way, that's... Chris's transaction of how exactly it came to be that he sprayed somebody in defense, even though nobody went to offend him.
My escape, I spritzed a minuscule amount of the pepper spray downward, not in his face, and then I left. I did not learn until much later that the spritz had done a lot worse than I had imagined it would, as well as learning that they were the so-called manager and ass manager of that particular store. I had no idea of the contents of the pepper spray, or that it was illegal for use in certain situations in the state of Virginia at all. And I had tried the stuff on myself days before in the upstairs bathroom, a 2-second spray onto my left wrist. Some of it got onto the bathtub wall as well, like sampling a perfume or deodorant.
No, it's not like that at all, Chris.
It took me out damn well. I had to open the windows, turn on the bathroom fan, and aim the box fan into the bathroom to air the place out. And
so if he knew already exactly how bad the damage was, why did he think it was a good idea to point it in the direction of somebody? Even if he wasn't aiming for the guy's face, why would you do that?
I wiped the wall off as well. And of course, I washed my hands. It took 15 to 30 minutes to make it bearable in there again. In the end, yes, I went along peacefully when the police arrived to collect me, and I had to spend a miserable weekend in jail, and I just got out on a bond and bail, yada yada yada. In the end, I was the victim. I did not cause the original provoking. The assistant manager made the first attack onto me and provoked my defensive response. I was minding my own business, not looking for trouble, and then he startled me, similar to a potential rapist in a dark alley in a big city. Any of you would have done the same as I have in defense and escape. And we can sue Sega for changing Sonic's arm color and ultimately this male getting pepper sprayed. Think about it seriously. And my protest actions are not acts of vandalism, regardless of your individual perceptions. It was not vandalism, but good protest when in around 2004 at Fashion Square. I tried their new soda machines with a credit debit card slot, and then I learned of the $5 surcharge that brought my bank account into the freaking red. I subtly posted sticky note signs onto each machine shortly after. This machine charges you $5 per card use. A few days later, the original machines returned. Nobody gave me any freaking grief or complaints at all about that. And if you really want to see the whole mess happen, go find the security tape of the time of point A, my finding Blastermind to point B of my departure from the store. Now, if you will excuse me, I have a lot of much required packing to take care of. Good day. Kenneth Engelhardt left a comment, pleading for Chris to understand that she entered an establishment from which she had been banned, with an item that was considered to be a weapon in the state of Virginia, and that she had no right to be there. Members of her Sonic Facebook group were similarly not supportive of her stance.
Yeah.
Chris's assault and arrest were understandably a mass discussed topic on the Quickie forums during the closing days of the year. In addition, Chris received some attention in more mainstream media. The video of the pepper spraying received significant views on YouTube and was featured in several online publications. The GameStop incident was written up in an article posted on Wii U Daily, a website focusing on news related to the Nintendo Wii U console and other game-related happenings. Also, entertainment website Design and Trend detailed the event in an article of their own, mistakenly calling Chris a popular internet meme creator. On January 2nd, 2015, Chris wrote on Facebook that she was experiencing muscle pain as she kept herself busy moving the family's belongings back into their old home. The next day, people connected with the forums reported that she was spotted arguing with security personnel at the retail store Walmart, from which she had been banned. The troll playing the part of Renee finally texted Chris back, asking about what happened. Chris confirmed that she went to Walmart and was accused of trespassing by the managers, which she denied. She threatened to use her pepper spray on them to keep them away from her. Chris confessed that she had had the pepper spray for years, but only recently decided to take it out in public in order to use it in situations of self-defense. Renee asked her how did she feel threatened by the Walmart staff. with Chris replying that their threats were akin to bullying. She suggested that Chris seek counseling and should call the Mental Health Association of Albemarle, Charlottesville. In response, Chris wrote, "You are being unfriendly to me and a meanie. I hope your house burns down with you and your jerk boyfriend inside. Good day."
You mean to tell me that after everything that happened, after spending a weekend in jail, not taking into account anything that he thought was wrong about what he was doing, and then, to top it all off, he then goes and trespasses on a Walmart where he's been banned, and now he's telling somebody for their house to burn down. How is it even possible that Chris is just... I don't understand this. This no. What? I'm genuinely confused, guys. I don't know how it's even possible for Chris to just have no accountability or not understand anything at all about what he's been. Could you imagine what Bob would be thinking about right now if he saw Chris doing this? I would have thrown Chris out. I would have thrown him on the streets if he was just if he enjoyed being behind bars so much that he could do that permanently. So out you go. I don't know if I could, like, if I had a kid of my own. I'm not sure if I could do that, but I don't know. I feel like I don't know.
In the meantime, Christine posted on Facebook that people should notify the American and Japanese divisions of Sega about her recent misfortunes because they decided to change Sonic's arm color. If they had not made the alteration, Chris wrote that she would have never protested in the way that she had. She added that the addition of green irises for Sonic was a positive change in her opinion. She then wrote that the Chandlers were busy moving back into their old home, and so she was unable to access the internet via Wi-Fi for long periods of time. Chris added that she was feeling stressed, and if any individual were to make her day worse via verbal attacks or threats, she would defend herself and even retaliate if necessary, going so far as to pepper spray herself. She wished for others to sincerely like her, but she felt she was unable to change anyone's mind. On January 8th, Chris wrote again that she hated Sega for allowing the blue-armed version of Sonic to continue to exist, which forced her to defend herself from attack, leading to a weekend in jail. The next day, she uploaded an image macro featuring a character from the cartoon series Littlest Pet Shop, which stated that wearing mongoose knows how you feel. Chris added a comment clarifying that she was a sad, lonely, worrying individual. On January 10th, Christine wrote a Facebook post in response to reading the article regarding the GameStop incident as written in Wii U Daily. "Off my rocker? How dare she? My protest was sound, valid, and meant to be good. And she completely ignores that on the day I had to defend myself from that ass manager. He verbally attacked and defended me! And I had no idea of what other pains and stresses he was capable of doing, and I did not want him following me either. You all do not understand my fragile mind, nor do any of you all have any caring nor understanding to leave a mentally scarred, damaged, and flawed individual like me be at personal peace of mind. But hell no! You all keep on stressing me more and causing pleasant days gone bad on me, especially most of every last male in this world. All of you are nothing but immature, boorish, uncouth, and damned Neanderthals. It is no wonder why a lot of women detest the lot of you, and why I am most disgusted and ashamed to have been forced to be born a damned member of your male gender. Humph." Also on the 10th, Facebook user Tiki Maniket posted an image on Chris's "Fix Sonic's arms immediately, Sega" page, which depicted the newly designed Sonic the Hedgehog, altered to look like Sonichu. Chris disapproved of the picture and promptly deleted it. On January 11th, Chris wrote a lengthy Facebook post regarding her wish for people to positively like her, and that if her good day is turned to bad by people who...
Well, the first mistake he's made is saying just listen. You don't. You read that. So, Chris, like I said, I'm getting the suspicion that Chris never really went to school in the first place. Or if he did, he never once learned a single thing. Just saying.
threaten her, then she would defend herself to force those offenders to respect her. She reflected that she had been growing more paranoid ever since trolls discovered her in late 2007, in addition to an increasing number of people in real life who have shown her a difficult time. Christine felt that no good could come from killing someone else or herself, as that would only force the person into entering the next realm without any lessons learned, so she saw no need to own a gun, and felt it better to merely use mace if the situation arose. She added that she was a female soul and wanted to be addressed with female pronouns, and would give cold shoulders or stares to those who continued to call her a man. She further wrote that no one should be banned from large retail establishments for crimes less serious than gun withdrawal or robbery, since people tend to have bad days, and that they shouldn't be banned for the way they acted because of how they felt at that one moment. In closing, Christine asked to be left alone to live life in peace, since she had no intention of harming herself or anybody else. It was also on that day that she sent her last text messages to Renee, revealing to her that she felt sad and upset because she shrunk 1 inch in height, and that she lost Renee's love for her, despite the fact that she never expressed any loving interest for Chris. Christine came to the conclusion that Renee was in league with the trolls, and had been sharing their conversations on the forums, and in closing, wished her luck in dealing with that reality weighing down on her individual fucked up head. On January 12th, Null, the owner of the new forum site, Kiwi Farms, the successor to the Quickie Forums, shared some info concerning Christian's Club Nintendo account, which was acquired from an employee at Nintendo of America. His post listed all the Nintendo consoles she had registered with her account: 2 3DSs, 1 DS, 1 DSi, 2 DSi XLs, 1 Wii, and 1 Wii U. He stated that she owned almost every first-party game released for the Wii U and 3DS game consoles, and displayed a list of some notable recent purchases, which included Sonic Boom, both for the Wii U and 3DS. Forum members calculated that based on the information provided, Christine had spent between $6,000 and $19,000 for all the said Nintendo purchases. The next day, Chris addressed this leaked list of owned consoles and games in a Facebook post, clarifying that she never purchased the Sonic Boom games. The 3DS version was actually a present handed to her by her ex-girlfriend Catherine's cousin Al after an alleged bowling outing, and registered the 3DS card that was enclosed with its Club Nintendo account. She was soon after sent the Wii U game in the mail and has never played it. She stated that being gifted the games that she was protesting and accepting them out of politeness did not change her stance for the game. Chris pleaded for Sega to change Sonic's arm color, since it had already caused harm to Chris and to possibly over 1,000 other people as well. 3 days later, Chris wrote on Facebook that despite the judge ordering both Chris and GameStop employees to not come in contact with each other, she claimed that she received 2 calls from the game retailer a day after the first court hearing, signifying that they violated the court rules. On January 19th, Kenneth Engelhardt showcased his newly purchased comic books on Facebook, one of which featured the Sonic Boom iteration of Sonic the Hedgehog on the front cover. Christine saw the post and felt betrayed. Kenneth clarified that he bought other comics as well, which featured the older design of Sonic. He later made a detailed post breaking down the percentages of the 4 stories in the comic book, and showed that only 18.5% of the Sonic comic book was focused on a storyline based on the Sonic Boom universe. 3 days later, Kiwi Farms user Theoden leaked a text conversation between Chris and an unknown individual, which revealed her thoughts concerning what happened at the GameStop. Chris continued to state that it was an act of self-defense, and that the ass manager scared her and made her feel intimidated. The other party told her that they felt she was unstable and potentially dangerous. Chris wrote that 99% of males were generally Neanderthal and aggressive, and that the employee of the store was allegedly a spontaneous attacker, and knew no more about his intentions at the time than a chipmunk's bounty of bananas, hence why she was so scared of what he might do. Christine thought that if the judge read her Facebook posts, he would agree that it was a clear-cut case of self-defense, though the person she was messaging disagreed.
Yeah, so do I.
It was around this time that Chris sent an envelope to Sega of America's headquarters in San Francisco. The envelope was filled with a large amount of glitter in an effort to produce what is called a glitter bomb, intended to cover the person opening the envelope with glitter granules and cause general annoyance. She also enclosed a typed letter in which she threatened to send a glitter bomb to Sega every week until they changed Sonic the Hedgehog's arm color. On January 24th, Chris posted a drawing titled My Mind is a Blank, in which she depicted herself lying on the floor and blankly staring into space as the audience sees into her mind, which is a recursive depiction of Chris lying on the floor. In the accompanying text, she wrote, "In case anyone was wondering what is on my mind is a blank. Not that you care. I've been very stressed. And if any of you all damn bunch of people and trolls really cared a scrap about me, in reference to me as an interesting person, you all would never have hazed me on Encyclopedia Dramatica in the first place, as well as continue to haze and hate me beyond that on the damn quickie. The lot of you all from around the world have expressed unrequited hatred against me for over 7 freaking years. It would have to take a lot of convincing me that you all like me truly and much at all. There have been multiple times pissing, blackmailing, deceiving, torturing, and hating on me too damn much to make me seem most to any of you lot all any favorably. Good grief!" 2 days later, she wrote that her birthday was coming up soon, and so asked again for the required Grand Emporium Lego set.
See what I'm talking about? Saying that all men are Neanderthals and then immediately saying, "Oh, but why are you here? Can you please buy me this Lego set?" Go to hell, Chris. Seriously. Don't... That's just...
Suggesting that if the trolls contributed to buying the set, she may reconsider her feelings about them. Kenneth instead suggested that Chris could create a fundraiser for a trip to the beauty spa. Christine instead reinstated her need for the Grand Emporium Lego set in a reply. She then made another Facebook post in which she asked for more mostly straight Lego road plates from any person who had some to spare. On February 2nd, Chris relisted her Sonichu and Roaster custom-made medallions on eBay, asking people to buy them and give her positive ratings, and further commented that if people liked her, then they should also like her characters. It was on this day that YouTube user Satchmo uploaded an over 1 hour-long documentary-style video about Chris Chan on YouTube, simply titled Christian Weston Chandler Documentary, later renamed to Chris Chan Documentary. In addition to using existing clips related to the story, Satchmo filmed an interview with a special education teacher to offer his insight into Chris's situation. The video was made for a high school project and contains little biased commentary from its creator in an effort to detail the events of Chris's life up to that point in a largely objective manner. The video received a generally positive response and as of August 2020 has amassed over 2.2 million views.
We will briefly go over most of the stories because simply there is too much to tell.
On February 5th, Christine attended her court hearing regarding her pepper spraying at GameStop. Ramspieler, a member of the Kiwi Farms who was in attendance at the courthouse, reported that the Chandlers had hired the wrong type of lawyer who did not have enough time to prepare for their case. Another Farms member, Zionista, who was also present, provided a more detailed account of their experience. Chris was wearing women's clothes, but didn't look like as much of a disaster as usual. Barb was with him, wearing what looked like a red wool coat. Chris looked pretty nervous while he was waiting for things to get started. He was fidgeting a lot and kept leaning over to ask her questions. I'm pretty sure I heard him ask, "Do you think we should tell them about our troll problems?" once, which made me smile inside. Naturally, even though there were 2 or 3 female PDs in the courtroom, Chris got the one brute male of the lot. He was summoned as Mr. Chandler, which I doubt he liked much. I heard the PD make a brief comment about Chris's appearance, but didn't hear exactly what was said. The PD, Chris, and the judge spoke with each other for about 2 minutes, and eventually the ruling was for a continuation on April 2nd. The two of them left the courtroom, only to come back in about a minute or two later, with Chris chiding his mother. "What were you thinking, Barbara Ann?" I guess Barb had already forgotten the date of the next hearing, or maybe she thought they needed to come back later in the day or something. Anyway, she and Chris spoke to the PD for another minute or two. I heard the PD say this to them. "I said you're free to go. Yes, it's April 2nd. April 2nd. I can write that down for you if you want." He looked just a little annoyed, because even this short exchange was enough to hold things up. Chris and Barb were blocking the middle of the courtroom while this was happening, and the judge had to ask them to move out of the way so the next guy up could get through. The two of them left a little while later. All Chris had to say on his way out was, "Welp," accompanied by a stress sigh. Ramspieler also filmed a short clip of the Chandlers leaving the courthouse. She also posted a video on YouTube of the family's house.
There's Bob's greenhouse. It's like a fucking tree house, some shit like that. Fountain. Private property sign on that chair right over there, if you can see it, I'm not sure. And there's the famous BMW with a B Weston license plate on it. Going around with it. Yeah, a lot of trees.
After the hearing, she maintained a low profile online, making very few posts on Facebook. On February 10th, Chris shared a photo of all the medallions she had made so far to order, planning to prepare them all for shipment within the same day. She later edited the post to clarify that she will be signing the orders from then on with her feminine name, Christine. The next day, she expressed her elation over Facebook after finding out that the Nintendo game Flipnotatina 3D, the predecessor of which Chris had extensively used on her DS, would be getting released onto the newer 3DS handheld console. On the 28th, Christine paid her...
And what does it say? Finally, it's about downtime, and he still acts ungrateful because he thinks he's entitled to Flipnote Studio. I'd rather make sure that that did not go to Chris because of basically what's happened in the last 35 minutes.
Onto the newer 3DS handheld console. On the 28th, Christine paid her condolences to the recently passed actor Leonard Nimoy, quoting his often uttered phrase from the Star Trek franchise, "Live long and prosper." On March 1st, Chris listed 23 more medallions up for sale on eBay and accompanied the news with a post regarding earlier criticisms from customers. "My complaint is that in the past, the odd less than 5 people complained of their medals arriving as shudi. That is why my stellar status is below standard. Each medallion is handmade with care and all of that, which you could not get anywhere else, even from a plastic printing 3D printer. Nothing and nobody is absolutely perfect. Complain to eBay if you'd like me to be able to list more than 20 medals ever again. Thank you for your patronage." On the 8th, she made a list of celebrities that she would invite to a hypothetical party she would be hosting. The list included Britney Spears, Pamela Anderson, Tara Strong, Lady Gaga, Kelsey Grammer, Jerry Seinfeld, Betty White, Monica Rial, Christopher Lloyd, Temple Grandin, and Seth Rogen. She acknowledged that if any of the listed individuals attempted to message her, she would perceive them as trolls or cyberbullies, masquerading as the celebrities, and would ignore them. 4 days later, Christine made a post arguing against the importance that Sweetheart's parents or TV show characters placed on the so-called prospects of people. She surmised that every person, regardless of how much money they are making or spending, have the same chance of success and wealth as anyone else. Kim Wilson left a comment refuting this claim, writing the prospects very widely from person to person. At around this time, Chris began using the online dating site OkCupid again, updating her profile username from Level Up King to Level Up Queen, and added to her description that she would only consider a threesome if it involved 2 other women. In addition, she added new photos of herself to her profile, including one in which she is standing in front of the mirror, wearing only a bra and pants. Kiwi Farms users noted the appearance of a rainbow wig and a box of enema laxatives in the foreground. On March 9th, Christine received a troublesome letter purported to be from Sega of America's headquarters, which stated that the company acknowledged her complaints and they resulted in increased stocking of the game due to many returns, replacing of vandalized signs, and hiring of cleanup crews to tend after the glitter bombs. As a compromise, they decided to recall all outdated Sonic merchandise and material released prior to Sonic Boom and update the design of the character to the improved blue-armed model. Chris made a Facebook post exclaiming that they misunderstood her protests. After she pleaded for her friend Anna McLaren to share the letter and let Sega know of their mistake, Anna told Chris that the letter was fake. On March 26th, Chris wrote a comment on a Nintendo news post regarding the low performance of the Sonic Boom video games. She said that the biggest reason for the failure was Sonic's blue arms, which were never meant to be blue. Other commenters felt that it was more because of the glitches in the game. On the final day of March, Chris commented on a preview picture posted by the official My Little Pony Facebook page concerning the plot of an upcoming episode of the cartoon series My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. She wrote that after reading the synopsis of the episode, in which some of the pony characters would be losing their identifying cutie marks found on their hinds, It made her want to cry sad. Christine's insistence in keeping herself young at heart had resulted in a change in circumstances that she felt were unjust, an adult consequence brought about as a result of a childlike tantrum. With her life now colored once again with more impending court dates, Chris still failed to become an adult, not because she didn't want to grow up, but perhaps she didn't understand if she still could.
That's gonna be like one of the most depressing endings yet. Not because Chris didn't want to grow up, but because he didn't feel like he still could, because he chose his life. And he chose it alright, for the good and the bad. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna like do it for part 43. I'm not entirely sure if I really need to say anything more than needs to be said already. I think it's pretty clear to the majority of people is that if it's not Chris making threats to people, or if it's not him throwing tantrums left and right, it's him being ungrateful for things and proclaiming his sexist views that he's entitled to a relationship. These and as long as, and by the way, and because Chris will continue to not learn from anything, as has been demonstrated in nearly 40 parts already, this is a trend that continues. Trust us, guys, this series is far from over. Because let's actually think about this. Not just in regards to where we are at the moment, because we've got up until part 46, but in the realm of time about where we are. So this is the end of March of 2015. So if we take the time now, so what's the date today? The 25th of November. We are 30 days away from Christmas 2020. So if we take that for just basically 5.5 years till we get up to the present day. So maybe we could just briefly talk about some of the things that might be coming up. Maybe the Idea Guy saga, things concerning the troll Jacob Sockness. God, what else? The Financhichu crisis, that's going to be a big one as well. But aside from that, and the dimensional merge. It wouldn't strike me as dumb to say that maybe what Gino might possibly do is do an entire separate videos like discussing the politics and all the evidence of the merge, because I could strongly work out that there is going to be like such a volley of white knights and weens arguing for and against, so what might happen. And then maybe also like various podcasts and that here and there in which Chris might talk about, like the leftover stream in which the Noah turned out to be a troll himself. There is a lot that still needs to be discussed and is still going to be talked about. I'm absolutely certain of that. But realistically, if taking what we know into account, like part 46 is when we get up to date, which by my standing, it'll probably be Saturday by the time we do part 46. But aside from that, realistically, up until like the point when we get up to the present day, it might be like part 53. Realistically, is where the show might be caught up with the present day. And when that happens, it'll be pretty interesting to see what happens to Gino's schedule. Does he decide to write about something different, or is he going to discuss like parts of the quickie articles themselves? Well, only time will tell. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this reaction video. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of part 43 for yourselves. and I hope some of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now.